Hello, hello. It's Soulful Saturday, lovelies. Come on in. It's time to get busy. We got some things to do, places to go, people to see. There we go. Here comes some people. Yay. Hello, hello. There's Sarah. Hi, Sarah. Good morning. Good afternoon. Wherever you're from, just come on in. It's Saturday. I know there's a lot of people out doing holiday shopping and what have you, but for those of you who are here, yay. You know, we're just going to go with it. There's my girl, Marianne. I hope you're feeling better, Marianne. There's Lori. Hi, Lori. Might be seeing you at Christmas time. Hi, Andrea and Corliss and Jeanette. Everybody's coming in. Yay. Love it. Love it, love it. So we have Soulful Saturday today. I've got a new quote for you for the week. Hello, Amy. I'm so glad you're here. And Joanne, too. And Sunil. Look at all you guys just rolling in here. Good. She's feeling better. Marianne's feeling better. There's my girl, Deborah. I got a chance to talk to Deborah yesterday. She's one of my clubbers. What a lovely lady. You know, every single time that I have an opportunity to get one-on-one and get on Zoom and speak to you heart to heart and see where you are and how I can help, that's when my day is made. It is just one of my most favorite things to do. So I just really feel blessed with that. There's Robin and Cassie. Well, it looks like we've got a big gang here and there's more floating in all the time, which is great. I appreciate that. Today, again, is Soulful Saturday. Soulful Saturday is when we start digging in. Jeanette, here you are. You know what? Romper Room never said my name either, Jeanette. Leanne's an awfully different. All the Lories and Debbies got said hello to, but not me. Karen, but not Leanne. I would watch with bated breath every single time. And I was crushed, just crushed. My mother actually had a part-time gig, and she worked at a television station. And it was not where they did the Romper Room, but they had some, I don't know, some clown or something. And I remember going there being absolutely terrified. It was not the nice lady on Romper Room. It was some scary clown. But anyway, that was in Canada. This is a few years ago. Amy, don't ask what Romper Room is. I'm going to box your ears. It's for us older ladies who understand. It was just a thing. I mean, it was probably like you watched, I don't know, Sesame Street or whatever. Jeanette says she feels better now. Yeah, it's just as, you know, kids programming is what it was. And yeah, that's okay. Amy, welcome to my world. This is a world where, you know, we did things differently. Captain Kangaroo, I bet you don't know who that is too either. Hi, Mimi. Good to see you. Good to see you. So you want the quote of the week? Anybody here want the quote of the week? Or should we just keep talking about Romper Room and Captain Kangaroo and, you know, all the olden stuff? I was actually too old when Sesame Street debuted. I was in grade school and I was too old for it. So that's how old I am. Just to give you a, you know, if you want to draw a line in the sand, that's just where it is. You know, I just don't even care anymore, you know? The only thing I care about, see, she knows who Captain Kangaroo is. The only thing I care about anymore is just getting rid of the gray. That's it. But, you know, the rest of it, whatever. So, Trisha says, yes, give me the quote. There's Vanessa. Hi, Vanessa. The quote of Helen Keller. And, you know, Helen Keller was a radical woman. You think about it for a minute. When she was born, and, you know, fortunately, she was born into a wealthy family who could afford to get her somebody like Anne Sullivan to help her. But think about when she was born. Women did not have voices. Women didn't even have the right to vote at that point. And she was out there, and she was a maverick. She was a maverick, and she was a thought leader. And she couldn't see, and she couldn't hear. And yet she would go and she would make speeches. Of course, somebody else did them for her. But I just, you know, I look at women who have blazed trails for all of us. And Helen Keller is one of them. Even with two major disabilities, She blazed trails, and her quotes, the things that she did. Take a look at her bio. It is just like very, very impressive. She was a radical. She was a radical, and my hat is off. We tip our hats to Helen Keller. Here's the quote of the day. The most beautiful things in the world cannot be seen or even touched. They must be felt with the heart. If anybody can say that with conviction and should have us all going, yes, indeed, it's Helen Keller. She couldn't see, she couldn't hear, but she knew that the most amazing things in the entire universe had nothing to do with what you could see, had nothing to do with what you could hear, but everything to do with what you could feel with your heart. That lifted me up. I don't know about you, but I found so much joy in that, especially because of today's sensitive subject. It is, first of all, it is Soulful Saturday. And so, Soulful Saturday it's all about digging into the stuff. And that's what we're going to do here in just a minute. But first, I wanted to remind you that on Fridays are our Q&As. So I take questions, all kinds of questions. I've already got a few coming in, which is wonderful. So send me your questions. All you have to do is go to support@savingdinner.com and send that question in. In the little subject line, put question for Leanne on Friday, and I will answer it here on Fridays. And listen to this. The questions you ask, you can ask me anything, pretty much. You can ask me anything. And I've answered everything from cooking to skincare to nutrition questions. I will answer your questions. So just send them in. Support@savingdinner.com. In the subject line, question for Leanne on Friday. That's important so that I can make sure that I get it onto the Friday show. Okay? The sooner you do it, the better too. It's a lot easier for me. We've got NutriCoach appointments. Now I've got so many people who are interested in this. You know why? They're thinking new year, new me, new you, new career. NutriCoachSchool.com to check out. Just go check it out. It's my life's work. It's right there. If it's something that interests you, then let's make an appointment and we'll get on the phone and talk about it. I've got a couple of, like Amy, I got a couple of people that I'm talking to, and I just know that this is going to be the next thing. I was actually talking to somebody, and they told me that, just from their vibe of me, that one of my gifts was coaching people and helping bringing people's giftedness out, which I thought was really cool. Thank you for that. But you know what? It's something that brings me extraordinary joy. So that's, to me, is where it's all, where everything is at, right? Being able to do what you love and bring joy and bring talents, abilities, and resources together. I love that. The other thing is I want to invite you to take back your life. Go to savingdinner.com/journal, pick it up. It's $15. You can print out as many as you need, and you can get started on 2020 right now. Right now. Because I don't want you to lose out. We have workshops that teach you that. We have a Facebook group that supports you. And I'm available. I'm available. I'll look for you. I'll see your question and I will answer it if you put it out there in the universe. Well, especially in the Facebook group. So that's what I just wanted to talk to you a little bit about. The other thing is, yes, this is Hot Melt Mix. It's in the store.savingdinner.com. It has all of the electrolytes that you need in it. It's got exogenous ketones in there, keeps you in ketosis. Boom, bada boom. I love all these things. I've got a bunch of supplements here, but I'm not going to tell you about them. I want to get on to our subject for today. How do you like that? Our subject today is a funny one, and it's one that I've struggled with myself, and I figured, listen, if I've struggled with it, I bet you have too. And that is the subject of rejection. You ever been rejected? You ever had that happen? If that's you, you can send me some sad faces. Rejection's awful, isn't it? I think about the time when, I was in 8th grade and got rejected by the boy that I had my eyeballs on, and just crying and just wailing and we've all been rejected by somebody that we thought would be a big love. We've all had some kind of rejection in our life, haven't we? One of my biggest rejections was my own son. He rejected me. He was going through a whole lot at the time, and having to go through all of that was one of the hardest things in my life. And I remember, without getting into his whole history, but let me just say that, he wasn't an easy kid. And I used to sometimes just in exasperation say, I feel like my kids weren't raised in the same house, that my daughter was in the house and my son was in the backyard being raised by wolves, because I didn't understand that, I couldn't control his behavior. But you know what it gave me? And I'm just a little side note here. The side note is that it gave me empathy for people who, regardless of everything that you've done and all the ways that you have done things, and the energy and everything that you've put into your children, it's up to them to accept that this is the way that they should go. It is. You don't have control over that. And you know that. You don't have control over all of the things that they do. And let me just say, if you've been in these shoes, you know what it feels like. And you're looking at your child and you're going, what on earth? Why is this happening? Because we think that we put all of these things in, and out of that machine, we're going to get our little cloned children, our little stamped kids that we've created, right? We think that we know, and we think that we've got this down. And especially, when the first one, we're thinking, well, that was, pretty easy. I remember the funny part about it was, I remember when my daughter started to learn how to walk, just so how differently they are. My daughter but they both started to walk at 9 months. And my daughter started to walk at 9 months old, and she got up and she was almost on her tippy toes. And it was like, there was no way that kid was going to fall when she walked. And she'd walk one step at a time, kind of, how they do, like Frankenstein. And she'd walk and she'd just stand there. And I remember her hands would go up like this, and she'd look at me in the eyes, and she would just, it would be, the determination was just unbelievable. And I was like, okay, well, there she goes. And and when you held your hands out, how you hold your fingers out and your kids hold on, she would hold on to my fingers so that they would turn white at the end. Now, my son was completely different, and she never fell. And probably she did, but my recollection was like, okay, she's walking and there she goes. The next thing I know, she's running. And now, of course, that wasn't as beautiful and fluid as the walking was, but it was just like, it was amazing to see this. So when my second child started walking and was falling down and bumping his head and bloody, and I was just, all of a sudden I realized, oh my gosh, they're different. And I had to go running after him and just saying, what on earth is going on here? There is a huge dichotomy between this one and that one, and we don't get the opportunity to just rubber stamp our kids. They're going to turn out the way that they turn out. They have their own souls. They have their own direction. And we can't fix all of that. And when your own child rejects you, you take that very personally, don't you? And I'll never forget how I felt, how many times I was rejected, and how many times I cried because of that rejection. But I always held on to, I love him. I will never reject him myself. I will reject that behavior, but I will not reject him. And I would tell him this on a regular basis. Fast forward, he just turned 28 years old, and he and I have a very, very close relationship. It wasn't always like that. My daughter and I have been close all the way. But the point is that your children surprise you, and your children will come up into your life, and they have their own way, and they show themselves. They show themselves along the way, and sometimes, oh, isn't it cute? He's 3. That's adorable. Oh, he's 5. It's super cute. 10, not so cute anymore. Oh boy, here it comes. The teenage years. Parenting is rough, man. It is rough. I will tell you, if At any time anyone tells you that parenting is easy, that it's a cakewalk, I'm going to tell you this: absolutely not. It is not a cakewalk. The rejection is huge and it's big. And if you've never been rejected by your own child, well, I'm sure you've been rejected by somebody else. But it gets deep and it gets personal and it hurts. But that's one type of rejection, right? There's all kinds of rejection. Rejection just happens. It's part of the human equation. It's part of what happens in day to day. It happens in business. It happens in your career. Happens in your love life. It happens constantly. And we always have an opportunity to look at that rejection and figure out what the heck it's about. Are we going to take every single rejection personally? Are we going to put that on us and say that it's because I'm this or I am that? Is that what we're going to do? Or are we going to look at that rejection, pull the plug out of the emotion, and just start looking at what's this really about? What is this really about? Rejection can get super personal when it's your own family. Yes, it can. But also rejection, and that's a big heap of stuff to have to deal with, isn't it? It's a huge heap. And it comes with the territory of relationships and love and family and friendship. Rejection kind of sneaks and snakes its way in. But out in the regular world, in all the other things that we're doing, there's also rejection there. There's rejection on every single stage of life. And I think it's up to us at some point to assess what that rejection's about. If we live in the place of rejection, if we live in the place like it's all because of me, I think that's really self-centered and it's really off base because it isn't necessarily about you. It's a rejection that has happened because of something. And maybe it has nothing to do with you as in the core of who you are. It might have to do with a behavior. It might have to do with an action. It might have to do with something that was done or said. And we need to look at that and we need to assess those things the same way that we assess, damage on a car, the same way we assess how are we going to get to this place. We have to look at things from a place of overall assessment. What is this really about? Is this a reflection of me? Or is this a reflection of them? Is this a reflection of a certain behavior? What am I getting out of this rejection? Why am I making this so much about me? Because that is an absolute thing that happens with so much of us. It hurts. It's painful. And then we start to make these assumptions that it's because I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, nobody loves me, I am this, I am that, blah, blah, blah. It happens all the time. And we start to rewrite what our life is about, and it's just not true. Can you understand that about rejection? Rejection is not your soul's label. You are not rubber stamped reject. Okay? Even if you have a child who said, I don't want you in my life, your child right now is in that place of they're rejecting themselves and you are a reflection of them. They're rejecting what it is that you're bringing along to them. And if you're in the painful place of dealing with a child who's rejected you, I want you to just hang on, will you? Hang on. It's not always going to be like that. And it hurts. I am not going to tell you it doesn't hurt. I'm going to tell you, even now I can feel what that felt like all those years ago. I can also tell you what it feels like to have a reunion with somebody and to realize and to recognize that it wasn't the rejection, that it wasn't on me and it wasn't on him either. It was the times. It was adolescence. It was drug use, to be very blunt with you, and my son would tell you that right now. It was all of these things. But you know what? We were able to take that and to drop it. We were able to take that rejection and turn it into redirection. We had a relationship that needed building now that he was in his 20s, now that he was no longer using, now that his life was completely different and so was mine. I was able to give him a whole lot more than I was able to give him when I was feeling that rejection. When I finally took the rejection and said, this isn't about me, this is about his own pain. Pain makes us do awful things. And pain makes us feel awful things, right down to the very tippy top of our souls, right into the middle of it. And it makes us feel so less than. But we need to look at what rejection is and what the possibilities are. Yes, there's possibilities in that rejection. To see that there is a possibility of a rejection, of a redirection. Rejection can equal redirection when we have eyes to see. When we're walking around with the big chip on our shoulder, just, oh, we're rejected, that's it, I'm not worthy, and it's all about you, you can't see the bigger picture. And you can't see the opportunity to redirect. You can't see the opportunity to correct. You can't see opportunity from God to protect. And that's what I looked at. You know, God protected me from that rejection. God protected me from seeing all of that ugliness of what was going on at the time. So there was some protection going on there. And then there was some correction. You know, I had to learn something. And I'm still learning it because, you know, I'm very direct. I don't mince my words. I don't play games. And if somebody asks me something, I'm going to tell them like it is. But it doesn't mean I need to be harsh, does it? Do you? Do you need to be harsh? Does anyone ever need to be harsh? What is a tough love discussion anyway? Is it harsh or is it just the truth? Can we say the truth without being harsh? I believe we can. And that's my life. That was my lesson with rejection. I can say the truth without being harsh. I don't have to, you know, coddle. I don't have to fluff it up and pretend that it's something different than it is. But I don't have to be harsh. And either do you. Love doesn't always come out the way we want it to. Sometimes we are just all about what's going on with ourselves. And we can't see the forest through the trees. We can't see that in between all of that rejection, there's a blessing here, there's a blessing there, and there's a little something there that we can take out and we can use for correcting our own harshness, our own damage, our own hurt. If we take our hurt and project it onto somebody else because of their rejection of us, we've only made it worse. We've thrown gasoline onto a fire. Rejection can be a course correction for us because not everything is about that personal of a rejection, you know, like a mother and a child or a spouse even. Not everything is that personal. But the problem is that with each little rejection, sometimes, you know, there are little rejections and big directions, and you have a choice on how you handle it. You have a choice to step back and to take a look at the whole picture, what's going on here. And I believe, because it's Soulful Saturday, that our souls demand that. This is how we grow, and this is how we are able to drop the things that no longer work for the vision of what we see for ourselves. Are we going to walk around with a chip on our shoulder for the rest of our lives because we think everyone is rejecting us? Or are we going to see that this rejection is a rejection of a behavior that I keep perpetuating? It's a habit. It's something that I do. I'm being harsh. I don't mean to be harsh. I just need to speak the truth in love. That's what it's about. Rejection can also be a personal thing. We reject ourselves. We reject taking care of ourselves. We reject the self-love and the self-care that we need. And I've spoken with so many women. I mean, I've been a nutritionist for since 1993, do the math. And I've counseled many hundreds, probably thousands of women one-on-one. And what I've noticed and what I have seen is in between all of the body clutter and the lack of self-care is a lack of love and a self-rejection that's happening with the woman that I'm speaking with. And I can't fix that for you. I hate to tell you. I wish I could. I can't fix that. But what I can do is I can redirect you to yourself. I can tell you that you are worth the time. I can tell you that God doesn't create trash. He creates people that he believes are going to be worthy on this planet for a mission. There's never a reason for rejection when it comes to God. He doesn't do that. That's not the way he rolls. He's so much more generous than us, and so much more loving, and so much more forgiving. And it's up to us to be like that with others in our lives. You might have a work situation that's just really horrible. Well, what are you going to do about it? You know, maybe you're constantly getting rejected. Maybe there's a message for you there, right? And that's what I invite you to do today, is to really assess, what is this rejection really about? Now, the stuff with your close relationships, with a spouse, with maybe even a divorce or a separation or things like that, or somebody else, you know, your spouse rejecting you for another, that's horrible. I've been there on that one too. That is awful. And there's nothing more. I remember crying to a girlfriend, what's wrong with me? Why didn't he want me? You know? And it took a lot of getting over that. And it wasn't about me. It was about him. You know, I'm a prize. I am a prize. And so are you. And that's how you have to see yourself. You have to look at yourself with God's eyes, not with your own faulty eyes, not looking at all your warts and your blemishes and all the other stuff, but look at you in the way he sees you. He sees you as this beautiful creation. You're his. He sees you down to your soul, and he loves you, warts and all. And that's my invitation to you today. Use rejection as an opportunity to view yourself with brand new eyes from the one who loves you, eyes from the one who is saying to you, hey, look, here's an opportunity to course correct. Here's an opportunity to redirect. And here is an opportunity for me to protect you. So look at that. Look at the things that are hard to look at. And rejection is one of the top things to look at, isn't it? Because it gets so deep and so personal. But it doesn't have to be. It doesn't have to be, and your soul can mend. And I say that from personal experience, all the way around the block. With a long line of rejections in my life, I have been able to overcome and to pull out every single thing that's ever happened to me. I've been able to pull out a lesson that has taught me something. So do that for yourself. Don't allow rejection to pull out your enthusiasm for life. Because life is wonderful. And life has a whole bunch to offer you, especially 2020 coming up. It is the turn of a new decade. A new decade. We get to leave the 2010s behind us. That's been 20 years since 2010. Can you believe that? It's been 20 years. 10 years, sorry. That's been 10 years. How fast time goes. And now as we get ready for 2020, believe in your future. Believe in your future and believe that in acceptance and love and the abundance that is going to be yours in 2020. Start planning for it right now. That's what I say. Get out your pencil Remember, because they erase, and start planning it out. That's all I have for you today, my friends. Peace. I love that you show up every day, and I appreciate your willingness to hang in there and talk and chit chat with me. And if you need me, well, you can find me in the Sprint group. You can find me here on Saving Dinner. You can find me everywhere. I'm all over Facebook. You can't miss me. Thank you again for joining me, and I will see you in the groups. And I appreciate you so much. Love you. Peace.